2. Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved immortal beings, and good-looking people. Remember, you're good-looking because you're always looking for and finding the good. We have good in abundance, overflowing. Our cup runneth over with good because you have consciously and conscientiously tuned into the marriage webinar, this remarkable panel, this remarkable show that talks about the most important institution in the United States of America, and in my humble opinion, in world civilization, because without a stable, functioning, growth-oriented marriage, it's very difficult for people to actually become human beings in the full potential. That's my opinion. You don't have to agree with it, but that's my opinion. I'm sticking to it because I've been married now 44 years, and I can tell you categorically it gets better every year. Maybe not every day, but every year. So today is going to be an especially interesting one. They're always good and interesting. This is particularly interesting because I posed the subject to a number of people online, and we had over 138 requests for reading their particular story or their question. And I'll give you the overarching topic, and then we'll go with one or two of the questions, just dive right in. And it's relevant because I'm going to say the date. We don't always tell you the date, but this is very important. Today is the 30th of the month of November, and it's in the year 2021. So we're in the midst still of, let's say, hopefully, God willing, emerging from the pandemic. Although there's a new one on the horizon. It sounds like another snowstorm coming. If you're living in the Northeast, you got one and another one's coming along with some other kind of variant. But the issue is that this is the 30th of November in the United States of America, and we're emerging from 3 or 4 of the most interesting days in the calendar, leaving aside July 4th, Memorial Day, and Christmas, because we have the most, in my humble opinion, the most interesting and I'd say iconic American holiday, Thanksgiving. It is quite unique to the United States of America. It's certainly not a European idea. It does exist in a couple other countries, but not in the same way that we do it here in America. Everything we do is big, of course, but it's something that usually unites families, brings them together over 3 very important ideas. One is food, another is good, meaning Thanksgiving, and the third is football. They actually go together. Yeah, okay, I'm a guy, you're a girl, so leave that aside. But the important thing is that there is an intricate tradition that goes back actually many decades that does unite all 3 of these. We'll talk about just in a moment. But the real questions or the overarching topic today is Thanksgiving on Thursday, the final Thursday of the 4th Thursday of the month in November, followed by what has become a tradition called Black Friday, which is about shopping, Cyber Monday, which is about shopping, and then there's another wrinkle in there called small business shopping, or small business weekend on Saturday and Sunday if you didn't have enough. Dedicate yourself to small business shopping. So really the flow of the idea is, how do we use marriage as that institution which is to model how you want to raise children and adults, because we're raising ourselves, right? How do we model each other to be the model for people who really do care about giving thanks, and at one and the same time be bombarded with a culture that says, spend, baby, spend, or we'll call it give, but it's really about get. So that's the overarching topic. And we have our amazing panel. I'll just mention them one by one on your screen. Up in the upper right-hand corner, but she's on the left coast, and holding down the fort in Seattle, Washington, Dr. Diane Medved, psychologist, author, raconteur. She has written a number of books. The latest one, I believe, is The Case Against Divorce. The Case Against Divorce.
No, it's Don't Divorce.
Oh, Even better, 2 words. Don't do it. Don't divorce.
I did write a book called The Case Against Divorce about 20 years
that book, right? And it's a tome, and it's good, and it works. And in the lower left-hand corner on the left coast, in the just about 1,800 miles, 2,000 miles south of Diane, is Lori McDermott. She is the wife expert, and she really is. You should go to her website and read about her story. It's quite remarkable, and she helps a lot of women who face disastrous husbands and hopefully bring them back together again. And then in the right-hand corner of the United States, is Morris Sweeney, the ambassador of happiness, holding down the fort in Florida, which is has its own unique culture these days. It's truly very interesting, quite distinct from California and even Washington State. And in the upper left-hand corner is your humble host, Barry Shore, the ambassador of joy, recently decamped from California, now living in the midst of the desert where it's absolutely beautiful in November in Henderson, Nevada. So with that as our introduction, what I'd like to do is pose one of the questions. I'm going to try and make it succinct, but it's not. Most of the questions, by the way, rambled. Most of them were 2 to 3 sentences, some were even paragraphs. But the gist of this question, which came in from about 35, 37 different people, was the following. How do we, my husband and I, how do we set the model for our children and our relatives that giving thanks is really the essence of these 4 days, and without diminishing in any way the ability for people to really like the idea of getting gifts or giving gifts or thinking about shopping? How do you create that harmony that seems to be antithetical? I hope that was succinct enough. So Diane, since you're nodding your head yes, you go first.
Well, thank you, Barry. And first of all, I want to wish all our Jewish listeners happy Hanukkah.
Well,
Today is the second day of Hanukkah, and we are celebrating that holiday. And as a Jewish person, the answer to your question, Barry, is that we try to incorporate thanks as an integral part of every day. A Jewish person wakes up and says, Moda ani lifanecha melechai v'kayam, thanking God for another day, for bringing our consciousness back into us so that we can be the commander of our days and do good every day. And I think that's really crucial, is that if you personally set the tone for your day as being one of giving thanks and giving, I think that makes a huge difference. Then you express it to those around you. You tell the people you love, and your partner in particular, first thing in the morning, I love you. I'm so grateful to wake up next to you. I'm so grateful to be with you in this journey of life. And say it as many times during the day as it pops in your head. Because when it becomes, bless you, Lord, because when it becomes a habit.
By the way, that's called sneezing on the truth.
My point being, if it becomes a habit to be grateful, then you can approach Thanksgiving as a hyper grateful day, as a day that the whole world is expressing the same thing with you that you use as a theme to your life. And so that's why Thanksgiving can't be seen as a day of turkey consumption, although that's good. And I make turkey, the only meat we ever eat for the whole year, I make for Thanksgiving. I actually make a dead bird. And then we have the turkey ones too. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but it has to be just an extra bonus on top of the gratefulness that you have all the time. I also want to mention that today is Giving Tuesday. And in the midst of all of the consumption and the materialism and the cyber this and the buying that, I think it's a wonderful thing that someone, I don't know who, instituted the idea that we should be giving and that we should give to charities today. So I think that that should be celebrated as much as the buying. And when you're buying, it shouldn't just be to get new things for your house, or it should be thinking of the person. And in my mind, I mean, we don't really give Hanukkah gifts in our family. It's not a thing that's done. Traditionally, guilt or money is given, and it has its own symbolism. but we don't give Hanukkah gifts. My kids never got Hanukkah gifts. So, I mean, that is kind of irrelevant to us. But I think it is relevant to us to give. And the Jewish concept is tzedakah. You give at least 10% of your income to charity, no matter what day of the year. And so I think if we start looking at this as not just a holiday, but an opportunity for our lives to be grateful and to give all the time to those around us, starting with our partner, the most essential person to our soul, I think that's the beginning of the answer.
I think that was a wonderful beginning to the answer. Ambassador of Happiness, wonderful Maura, would you please come along on that jet stream?
I'd love to weigh in, and I love going right in the middle of these two ladies. It just flows so nicely. Barry, would you do me a favor? Would you repeat that question one more time, not only for my benefit, but also for the viewers, so we're all tuning into the same?
Yes, I will try and make it very clear and concise. Yeah. Here we have this remarkably unique American holiday called Thanksgiving, and followed immediately, sometimes even before Thanksgiving is over, with this cultural process called buying, Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, Sunday, Cyber Monday, deals, sales, stuff. How do you harmonize those two processes of Thanksgiving in a very deep, meaningful way, not just eating and watching football, and with this whole idea of, well, I'm going to get this, I'm going to at the table talking about that. How do you harmonize the process so that you become an example without being an old fuddy-dud and say, well, I'm going to, no scolding, but gee, let's think about giving.
Well, you obviously have a very eclectic group to draw from. Now, I was going to use the word similar to Diane, but mine would have been a lifestyle of gratitude. I love the fact that we have Thanksgiving, where my husband and I could go for a walk very close to our home, where we have this great path that everybody and his brother loves going on. And you go around during the holidays, especially Thanksgiving or Christmas or New Year's, and everybody on that path that's biking or walking is all wishing everybody well. Well, I think it's a great thing. And I agree. It's wonderful to have a specific day of the year for thankfulness and for remembrance. But I would say Thanksgiving is definitely a lifestyle. It's a way of thinking. It's a way of viewing your own life and the giftings that you have. And I agree. I happen to be married to a man that loves being told every day how wonderful he is and how nice he is to me, which he is. But it's part of our lifestyle. We brought up our daughter the same way. And what I will say about that, it's that when we get to these holidays, like a Thanksgiving, it's all of a sudden like the rest of the world has joined in with us. So that's one thing I would say. Secondly, I should offer, Diane said once a year she cooks an animal. Well, we've never been Hallmark card people. And I have to tell you, I made steaks, and I don't even eat steaks. It's not one of my things, but that's what we did. We did steaks over Thanksgiving. So we're really not looking to be like everybody else. I think what we tend to do is follow those things that seem genuine for us. We never feel like we need to do what others are going to do. It's just whatever works for us. And as far as giving to others, I love that. It's not only, as you were saying, Barry, all of these opportunities to go out and shop, but also that there's now this new day called what, Tuesday Giving, or
right
over the holiday
Giving Tuesday, right?
Okay, and I love it. And it all of a sudden brought something to mind, and we can really even expand the way we think about giving. I had a very good friend of mine who went through some health issues over the year, and she texted me the week of Thanksgiving, and she said, "Oh, Maura, would you please be in prayer for me? I had something that happened at work that is really so tough. And my husband and I were planning on doing something special by going to a musical show." And he said to me, "You know what, Maura? Not that I'm trying to get out of it," which I'm sure he was. He said, "Why don't you think about inviting your friend to do this? Take her out in my place, and then after that, take her out for something to eat." And I will tell you, it was not only wonderful for me to spend time with my friend, but it was she received it so well. And it was something that was a special day, but it was also something that registered with the heart. And I think when I consider holidays, in particular Thanksgiving, I think about holidays for the heart. And so that was kind of what we did. And we didn't watch football, but we happened to have a very good weekend. And I think that the spirit of the holiday stayed with us. I'm sure we'll get into shopping later, but that's my take.
That was very good. I want to make mention, I'm going to tie those two together after Lori speaks, but I like your speaking about the path that people walk on. It's really very nice. That goes along with what Diane was saying about getting up in the morning. In other words, be on that pathway of giving and thanks. It's very nice. Now, Lori, you live near the Strand, speaking about paths and such, in Manhattan Beach. I don't know if people in California are walking around outdoors with masks, without masks. We'll leave that aside. But tell us about this idea, how you think, because you're there with husband and 3 kids. How do you harmonize the idea of, not the idea, that spirit of Thanksgiving with all of these things happening called spend money?
Yeah, it's been crazy. So my son's at college, so he's been home, and I found myself like having no time. Normally we have a big gathering of people, and this year was different. And my husband's like, we should order in. And I was like, I've always wanted to do that. Call up a store and say, let's get some food instead of making it. So we did it. I thought everything would just show up. It would be like turkey on a platter. No, I went there. I got a bird that I had to put in the oven and cook. I'm like, I didn't sign up for this. So it was okay. I mean, it wasn't as good as home cooked meals, but we tried that. So, but what my goal was that day is I want to give time, right? I want us all, I told my kids, I'm like, we are sitting on the couch all day today, and we're going to have games, and we're going to do this, and we're going to eat together. And they were all in until my husband turned on the football game, and my kids are like, yeah, I think I'm going to be on this. Everyone started to disappear. And I'm like, whoa, stop. So then I said, we went out for a hike. We didn't do the Strand, but we went up to the Terranea, this beautiful hotel. We walked around there. But when you're talking about being of giving and being of thanks, we're so busy. We're all so busy. I tried to come up with a plan years ago, about 22 years ago. I just wanted to get my friends together. And I started having something called a thank you party, because all year long, I see you, I'm busy. I don't have time to go, oh my gosh, I see you. Thank you for being my friend. So I would have these parties once a year, the month of Thanksgiving, maybe 1 or 2 weeks before on a Saturday. I would gather everyone I knew. I mean, literally everyone I knew, I would call and say, hey, I'm having a party. Now we send out invites. Come over. In between this time and this time, I'll have a bartender. I tell everyone to bring an appetizer because I don't know who's coming. So if you're coming, bring food and drinks. And then we just pile it all together. It is such an amazing party. And people who don't know, if you guys all live closer, you to come. But it's my way of giving thank you to everybody. And I walk around that party and I make sure I give eye contact to everybody and tell them, you mean so much to me. I'm so glad you're in my life. And I take those, even if I only talk to them for like 30 seconds or a couple minutes, it is sharing my feelings with somebody else. And my kids have seen that. And now my son's doing that when he's at college. He's the first one I've launched. So I think that is really important. Not only giving things, but giving your words, because nobody does that anymore. Nobody tells someone, I really like you. You're a girl. I'm a girl. We've been really good friends. I never see you, but you really matter to me. And I think that's so important.
Phew.
Sorry.
This is so.
What does that say?
By the way, you're muted, Maura. Maura, you're muted. Unmute yourself, woman.
Did you see me writing? Lori, as you were speaking, I thought, I've never heard of such a thing. I love it. It's simple. It's a great way to get people together. A thank you party. It's on my 2022 list. Thank you. I love it.
So let's unpack some of what we just saw here, because this was, again, everybody watching, thank God we have thousands and thousands of people, and just watch now, and then people watch it and share it throughout the world. By the way, we're an American experience, but you should know I get emails from people in China and in India, Ghana, Nigeria, other places, exotic places, and Patagonia. Somebody sent us an email. People watch this thing and say, wow, I didn't know this much about Americans. You see, what we're quintessential Americans. And it's really important that people see and hear what we do and who we are, in addition to the things that they read about or hear about on social media, which I think is really not so social, about people causing death and destruction and mayhem and such. So this show is as wholesome as it gets in the world, and it's really important. And I want to make mention everything that you spoke about, Diane, and Maura and Lori integrated together. As you said, Maura, it's so exciting to have an idea. Wow, a thank you party. Now, by the way, I presume that those are only women. If my presumption is wrong, you tell me.
Oh, my party?
At your party, women.
Oh no.
Oh,
we invite everyone
even men. Oh my gosh.
Even
okay.
Men. But no kids, but every adult we've seen all year. So the list is pretty
good.
big.
It is adults. So this is a modeling experience. So I want to make mention a couple of things that Diane said. Then I'm going to tell you the fun next question. But so Diane mentioned the holiday of Hanukkah. It's either Hanukkah or Hanukkah, depending if you can pronounce it the way it is. And it is the festival of lights. And it's interesting to note because Hanukkah is not the Jewish Christmas. And yet oftentimes they coexist but the Jewish calendar works more on a lunar basis than a solar basis. The calendar we use is almost all solar, Muslim calendar all lunar, the Jewish calendar, hey, we love both, so we integrate. And every few years, there's an extra month. So sometimes it's 12 months and 13 months. That's why this year Hanukkah occurs several weeks before Christmas. But they do have an intersection because they both occur on the 25th of a particular month. In the case of Christmas, it's the 25th of December. In the case of Hanukkah, it's 25th of the Jewish month called Kislev, but it's on the 25th. But the point is that it's the festival of light, festival of freedom. And it is a festival that is oriented towards giving. Whether you're giving, like Lori, you said it so wonderfully, giving to each other by saying hello, by making sure that there's some sort of eye contact, voice contact, human contact, and the ability for people to gather around in a place. Maybe you have a fireplace in your house, Lori, and you had logs on, or a fake fireplace with gas, but the ability for people to gather around something. When I was growing up, we used to gather around the piano and people would sing. Now, I enjoyed singing. That was the early karaoke. Nobody else but me wanted to hear it. My mother liked it also. But other than that, but I enjoyed singing. But it was the process. It wasn't the actual stuff. It was that process of creating some sort of harmony in voice, like you said, Lori, saying hello to people. But you mentioned something wonderful, Diane, this because you brought up Giving Tuesday. And the next question we're going to have is going to speak specifically. The person I thought was very clever. Thanksgiving, the two letters, of course, are T and G, right? Thanksgiving. And then they have Black Friday and then Small Business Saturday, Sunday, and Cyber Monday. But then it goes to Giving Tuesday, which are the same letters, but it's reversed, GT. So I thought actually I got that. I think I had about 7 or 8 of those. And I didn't realize it myself. I mean, I knew it intellectually, but when I saw it, it said, oh, what a great bookend. In other words, it is now that Giving Tuesday, I was remiss. I did some research on Thanksgiving and Black Friday and Cyber Monday, which I'll tell you a little bit in a couple of minutes. But suffice to say that this idea of Giving Tuesday, and you're right, Dan, we should find out, I think also is remarkably American. America is a charitable nation, but we're a charitable nation because we're charitable people. The American experience is built on giving. That's the essence. One of the reasons we are so successful. And again, with with a heart that hurts the experience of Native Americans and, of course, people who are enslaved and such. Yes, these are difficult issues, but that doesn't take away a whit of what this country is really about, and the integration of all peoples into this culture called giving to one another, whether it is food, whether it is money, or as you said, Lori, a good word, a kind word. A kind word can uplift a person's spirit as much as any amount of food or money, sometimes more so. I think, Diane, you would agree with that as a real psychologist. So I'd like to go to the question the person asked. The person, again, there were 7 or 8 of these, saying we have Thanksgiving, TG, and then we go through shopping. He didn't want to say, I don't know if it was a him, saying panic, even though it was funny because of pandemic. And then we come into Giving Tuesday, and this person noted that more and more, since Giving Tuesday is part of our culture, that the good news is that people are actually thinking about more as they're shopping, obviously not everybody, that, wow, Giving Tuesday is coming up. I want to make sure that I participate in that also. So the question that was posed is, isn't it it's actually a statement as well as a question, isn't it wonderful that in our country, we have an institution called Thanksgiving tied to shopping, there's no question about it, and then morphing into, almost on a higher level, Giving Tuesday, which everybody wants to participate in at some point, because you get to choose who you're giving to. It's not Salvation Army or this and that, with overtones. So the question really comes out is, how do we, as married people, model that for our children and our friends to make sure that whenever we're speaking about it, as you said, Diane, of course, every day we give thanks, that we want to orient ourselves towards Giving Tuesday. Of course, we give during the year as well, but to have that as the bookends, Thanksgiving here, Giving Tuesday here. And so now you see it as an integrated whole. So the real question, I guess, in bringing down to maybe 10 words is, how do we model that so that the eating of the food and the pleasantness of the family and then the shopping goes off to the highest level called Giving Tuesday? So it's on you, kid.
Oh, okay. Well, I think I mentioned before that giving has to be a habit, and that thanking has to be a habit, and they go hand in hand. Thanksgiving, yeah, they really do go together. And I think that part of it is talking about it. If you're going to be approaching a holiday, and you talk about the holiday, talk about it as an integration of, not only are we making turkey so we can eat it ourselves and gobble, gobble, gobble it up, but we're making it so we can be together as a family and give to our people we love. Then you can look at the buying of gifts. If you're buying gifts, which I don't, if you're buying gifts, you can look at it as, let's think about the person we're giving to. What would this person like? Or maybe this person doesn't need another material good. That's the thing. We're so used to thinking we have to buy things at the stores. Now, I happen to be a capitalist, and I think our country is built on freedom and capitalism and opportunity. So I support all businesses, small and large, because large ones started out as small. And so I support businesses, but the idea that we have to have it all together for Christmas, I think can use a little variation. That we can think of the person and maybe give someone something they really want. I know a lot of older people, for example, myself included, I'm in a period of life where I need to divest. So to give me something that's material, well, I appreciate the sentiment. It's just like something else to regift or to do something with.
Right.
So what I would like is a poem or a card or a cookie that you made, or something that is a gift of yourself. And I think there are probably a lot of people in our environments who may feel similarly, and we should think about who we're giving to and how we can best serve them. It might be, as Laura and Lori do, I'm sure, giving time time to someone is everything. Taking someone out to lunch, as Maura did, or having a party and saying thank you very much, that's probably more worthwhile for a number of those on your gift list than going out and buying things. I think, unfortunately, we've turned this whole thing around to be buying stuff that we want because they're really good deals. That's a whole other issue. But I think we have to be honest about, well, we're going to wait till Black Friday to buy the big TV because it's really the cheapest, and not put that on the same plane as we do the holidays and what we're getting together to do together in this 4-day period.
Thank you. We're going to come back to your point, because that was another set of questions about buying for oneself as opposed to others. Wonderful, Maura. Again, the simple question is integrating Thanksgiving here, Giving Tuesday here, with all this frenzy in between of buying stuff. And how do you harmonize those two so that you start off with a Thanksgiving like you did, taking somebody to lunch and spending time, and coming up on a high note and a big yeah with Giving Tuesday?
Well, it's funny you should even bring all of this up today, Barry, because I was speaking with my husband earlier today, and I said, do you remember years ago, we were little kids, we would watch cartoons, and they would have Hasbro toys and all these other toy manufacturers advertising for the kids. And I said, little children, I said, everybody wanted this, that, and the other thing for Christmas. I said, but you know what's an interesting thing? Now, this is a change in time. I think there's several things happening. I don't see these toy manufacturers advertising like they used to. I don't see the same frenzy to go out and buy that I remember during the era of Mad Men. Remember that everything was going out and buying. I don't even know that there are that many different things for people to buy. But I'm also seeing something else in, let's say, the younger group of people. I see it at a corporate level. They're not so materialistic as maybe the previous generation was. You know, you're going to see your pockets of people that, yes, I want. Or I want to buy. But there are so many more people today that are interested in integrating things that are important to them with maybe money. But the integration could be so different. Now, Diane made a really good point. I agree with you, Diane. There's really nothing I'm looking for. I don't need more stuff. I have divested myself of so much stuff. My husband's the same way. Even our daughter's that way. But how many people do you know that actually enjoy experiences? I have found that even with young people getting married, they don't always want more pots and pans, but the giftings oftentimes are now having something to do with spending days together with friends, but doing it around something special. And so we can integrate these things, Barry, by saying, who is the person I'm getting something for, or I'm thinking about gifting? What kind of an individual are they? What things are important to them? And what do I have within my ability? It could be purchasing, but it could be time. It could be something I could make. I make cookies once a year, but people love them. Love them. And
well,
I put them
Diane liked cookies, she said, yes.
And you know what? I put them in the most beautiful boxes, and people know that there is love and time and consideration and sincerity behind it. So I think that in many ways, we don't all have to feel like we have to run around and buy everything. I think everybody maybe goes through that era in their life. But once it's passed, then we start saying to ourselves, if we're really honest, what things really make me happy? What speaks to my heart? What makes my life feel more full? And it's not always ringing something up on the cash register or on the credit card.
By the way, you just dated yourself, Maura.
I know, I'm always dating
Ringing stuff up on a cash register? Do they even exist?
That's so true. I actually stopped recently to look at one like, hey, I remember when people used to use them.
I love that. Ringing up on, what did she say? Is that a phone? Yes, okay. Wonderful, Lori. And especially because you are experiencing kids in various ages, high school and first year college, new high school, older high school, first year college, and a husband. So talk to us about, let's say, that process from Thanksgiving Day to Giving Tuesday? Is Giving Tuesday becoming part and parcel of this 4-day experience or 5-day experience?
I'll be honest, I didn't even know there was a Giving Tuesday. I must be under a rock. But
I
I do know about Black Friday, and every Thanksgiving prior to this year, it would be 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and everyone would start itching. And I'm like, well, what's going on? Where are people going? We're hanging out. And I was like, no, we got to hurry up and eat because we got to go get in line at Target. Why? Oh, because there's a really good sale. Why? Like, why don't we just hang out here? How great can that sale be for you to stand in line 4 blocks down to wait for the door to open, all the stuff be gone? It doesn't make any sense. But I guess that's an experience. So my youngest, who is now facing Christmas where he's like, wait, I'm 15 and I don't like toys anymore. And Santa's not really real. What am I going to do for Christmas? This is going to be awful. So we're dealing with that. But so he's looking around at Thanksgiving going, I guess I don't need anything anymore. And that's the truth. I mean, you guys were just talking about, I'm the person someone says, well, what do you want? I said, write me a letter. Tell me what you learned from me. Tell me what you like about me. Tell me what you like. How have I inspired you? I want to know because that inspires me. And I'm always looking for that because I want to be 90 and looking at my little cards in the old folks home one day. I think that's important. But as far as like teaching my kids, like through that time of how to be a part of giving, I'm a big fan in February when there's a sale, because that's when the sales really are in February after Christmas is gone, of finding something and going, oh my gosh, your aunt would love this bottle opener. I'm going to save it for Christmas. And then we buy it then. So my kids hear me say things because we think about our family all the time. And when you see something they like, everyone goes, oh, Uncle Bob would love that. And you're like, yeah, get it now. Buy it in February when it's already on sale. Don't wait for that Thanksgiving sale. Stick it away. And when Thanksgiving or when Christmas comes, you're done shopping. You've done it all year long. I'm a huge fan of that.
This is so wonderful. What an interesting, diverse group of experiences. I'm going to throw out a question, and you will not be graded on this, but if you know, that's good. If you don't, okay. Do any of us, other than me, and I just learned about it a few years ago, you know what Boxing Day is?
It's in England.
Don't say it. You know it. But you, Diane, you know what it is?
I know.
Lori knows. Laura, you know? Oh, you've heard of it, right? You know what it is?
Canadian. Isn't that Canadian?
Okay, so Lori, you're going to tell us what is because this touches a little bit on what you're saying, and it goes some to what Diane and Maura both said. So tell everybody what Boxing Day is.
So I used to live in New Zealand for 2 years, and I didn't know what Boxing Day was till I moved there. So it is the day after Christmas when everybody takes everything down that they had up during the holiday season. But it's a time that the family hangs out together and everyone puts things away and they box it up for the next year. But it's just another family day versus here in the States, we wait till January and then some poor soul in the house is doing it by themselves or going, hey, let's do this together. And everyone's like, no.
There's another aspect to Boxing Day, which I thought you were going to mention. Yes, it's another family day, but in prior decades, Boxing Day was the day after Christmas when people had what they call leftovers of food, and they put it in boxes and deliver it to people who didn't have.
Oh, no, I didn't hear that.
That's the origin of it.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It's beautiful. It's so because it's like Giving Tuesday. In other words, it's that process of what do we do? It's the ability to say, I have, thank God, sufficient. Mm-hmm. I want to share, which is what I want to bring out. We have time for another 1 or 2 questions. But this idea of when I first heard Boxing Day, I said, Boxing Day, they go and they fight in there? Because that's, America, you think of boxing, right? No, it's a very British type of idea, much like after Dickens wrote about, A Christmas Carol. It's that whole process of what can we do, or what can I do, what can we do as a family to be of benefit to others, which is really what I think the whole process of Thanksgiving is about. of Giving Tuesday. And as each one of you has said so beautifully, and Diane, you hit it a couple of times, the idea of building a habit of giving thanks, a habit of, like you said, Lori, of telling the other, especially someone you're close to, how important they are to you. What do you like about them? All right, you want to say something you don't like, that's up to you. But tell people what you like about them. You know, you smile, you're radiant, you do this well. I appreciate that. The words appreciate to someone makes such a difference. You know, it brings tears to my eyes. I'm telling you, it's probably about, not probably, it was about 21 years ago when we had Thanksgiving and my parents were still alive, and my wife had everybody over, and it was, I don't know whatever reason it happened, but my wife started telling my mother how much she liked her. It was just out of the blue. She just, I gotta just tell you, Mom, that you do this well. I really like this. And my mother's tears are rolling down her face. And then she turned to my father and she started telling him how much she likes. I like you even more than I like you, my mother. But the point was, it was people speaking to other people, because the mood of the table of the process was that it was safe to do that. You know what I'm saying? In other words, this whole idea of Thanksgiving literally got into our souls. We started giving thanks to other people. It was, I'm telling you, I'm still crying thinking about it to this very day, because those are the kinds of things you can never divest yourself of, and you don't want to. You just, you know, but Diane, what you said, I love that idea of write me a poem. I don't care what it looks like or rhymes inside. Write me a poem. I mean, how many, and I don't mean text it to me even. You know, wow, imagine getting a poem somebody wrote. Okay. I think we have time for one more and maybe two. I just want to tell everybody what a little bit of research I did, only because I was quite amazed, and that this whole idea of Thanksgiving was originally not originally, because it's a holiday of more than 150 years, initiated by Abraham Lincoln during the Civil War, because we needed it. But in the 1930s, in 1939, Thanksgiving was the anchor holiday, as it were, for Christmas. In other words, it was the season, right? So it was beginning of Christmas shopping, because there was no Black Friday, there was no Cyber Monday, et cetera, et cetera. So it's interesting enough that in the 1930s, especially I think it was 1939, it says here, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt issued a presidential proclamation proclaiming Thanksgiving to be the fourth Thursday in November rather than the last Thursday. What was the thinking? Because now that meant that in some years you'd lengthen the Christmas shopping season. So you got to put it in context of time. 1939, we were still in the recession, depression, you know, so you needed to encourage the country to shop, because that was helping the economy. And then, of course, people adopted the president's change. So what happened is that there were 2 days of Thanksgiving in some people's mind. There was the traditional Thanksgiving Day, the last Thursday, or there was the Franklin Delano Roosevelt Thanksgiving, and they called it, those who didn't like him called it Franksgiving, because he made a proclamation. Now, of course, it is today the way it is through his proclamation. But here's what gets really fun also. We live now in a, for want of a better term, a digital society, right? Is that fair to say? You know, we live in the digital age, and I think it's also fair to say that shopping online is as de rigueur as walking into a store. It may even be more accessible than walking into a store. I know for myself, I don't think I've been in a store in a long time, but that's another story. So this whole idea of something called Cyber Monday, this is really cool, was started, made its debut on November 28th, 2005. Now, it's hard for anybody to remember that far back, but if you can, 16 years ago, shopping online was not a thing, right? It was still sort of new. Those people who, wow, you shopped, you did that, you got that online, and that you could do that and got delivered somehow. Oh, fine. And it was coined by Ellen Davis, a nice lady of the National Retail Federation, and a guy named Scott Silverman. Together, they coined the term Cyber Monday so that they could take advantage of the process that people were in the holiday season and such. And of course, today, literally today, last Monday, yesterday, Cyber Monday is the single busiest business day of the year online, because people just click, 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 and things happen, right? Multiple billions of dollars. You don't have to stand online. Imagine that, Lori. People rushing away from the table and saying, I'm going to stand online at Target so I can get this thing on sale. Who needs that? Just click, or you do it on your phone. Now we can talk to each other. Yeah, but get the phone out of your face. So we're going to end up with this final question is, and I thought this was an interesting question idea. And again, we're using this in the context of marriage, because marriage is that process of modeling for children, grandchildren, others, family and friends. Maintaining cordial, loving relationships amidst the, how should we call it, the upheaval of the political realities of today, coupled with this desire to, how should we say it, fulfill one's desire for goods and services. In other words, you're right, Maura. Maybe the younger people today are more idealistic, but then again, a lot of people want a lot of stuff, the latest Apple this or that, et cetera, et cetera. And so maintaining that relationship at the table of Thanksgiving, as you said, Diane, getting in that habit, which I think has to be cultivated many months before you sit down to the table, right? And years before. But with people that may have very divergent opinions, and trying to find some mechanism, either by planning in advance. That was the question. Should you plan in advance, or should you just let it go free fall and create sort of ground rules so that everybody knows either we do discuss politics or we don't discuss politics. We talk about music, we don't talk, find some places where there can be a mutual place of safe space. I'll use that term if I may. So how do you create safe space at a Thanksgiving table?
I take it you're asking me first again?
Yes.
I would say that it has to do with making a good relationship with people, no matter where you are and when you are. If you come to Thanksgiving and you don't have and you have weird expectations, you're bound to be disappointed. It has to be that you have relationships with each of the people that you're getting together with all the time. And these are people you care about. And if that's the case, then you know that there may be areas of disagreement, but that's always been true. In generations past, there's always been generational differences. Your hair is too long, or we don't like the music you play, or we don't want you going to this school. I mean, there's all kinds of disagreements that have played through probably caveman days. That cave drawing wasn't accurate. I mean, I don't know. But the point is that people have always had to get along. And what you have to do is be open and giving, and not necessarily as assertive as you might be in a relationship where you don't have to always be together. I think the key is to emphasize love and to emphasize the topics that you share, and to try and always keep in mind that there's a person behind the ideas, and the person always wants good, and the person always wants the best for the country and the people around you and your family. And with that as the basis of the relationship, then you can maybe talk about, and it's great to have ground rules. I think it's important to have ground rules. If there are big differences that you know could divide you, you say, okay, off limits are politics. If that is a topic that is hot button for you, you can do that. And I think a lot of people are sensitive enough to know not to do that. But I think the key is to emphasize the good stuff. At our Thanksgiving table, we have a tradition where we go around the table and we don't just say thank you for something obvious, like our families or our jobs or living in this great country, something like that. We're supposed to go around and say something that's really unusual, something we're thankful for that we might not have thought about before, but it's striking to us. This year we had a wonderful surprise. Our daughter didn't want to go in order. We usually go around person to person. She said, no, I'll be last. She was taking care of her son, who's 15 months. And then finally at the end, I said, well, Shana, it's your turn. And she said, it makes me cry. I'm so thankful for this baby growing inside me.
I knew you.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that.
Is that so exciting? How did I know you were going to go there? That's so
I did too. I knew that.
Wow.
Everybody's happy and everybody's grateful.
It's like, wow, what can bring you together better than that?
Yeah.
Right.
And if you can have something like that, no, that's not so usual, but
Right.
there's something that you know that everyone will be able to share the joy of. I think that is something to start off with and build upon when you get together with your family or anybody.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you. I like that. There's a couple of things I want to unpack just in a moment. You mentioned about setting expectations, because if you think that something might happen, it may be too grandiose, your expectations. So be aware that you're dealing with human beings. The other thing, as you said, recognize that there's a person behind whatever that person may be saying, spouting, that you may have not only disagree with and maybe just outside completely, but it's a human being and they're at your table. You're at their table. That was delicious. Thank you. Wonderful, Maura.
Hard to top a new baby,
You don't
Diane,
have
but
to.
that's great
This
news.
is not
But it's
not competition. This is not competition. This is all
Oh, it
about.
isn't. But it's a great segue. You
Yes.
know, I was thinking of this thing, modeling. I think we started at the beginning of the hour talking about modeling and making a lifestyle of gratitude and living that out so that when you have a holiday, you're already there. The people around you already know that. It's the environment and it's the atmosphere that you set up. So think about this. If you happen to be the host at a holiday party, you model again the same activity, the same heart sense. And one of the things that I have learned how to do in life is I've realized that most people, let's say about 80% of the population, if you removed all the trigger words out of religion, politics, today it could be vaccines and health and anything else. But if you remove the trigger words, by which I mean that people set up, this is the part I own, this is my real estate, and because you don't think like I think, I'm against you. If you remove all the trigger words from your conversation, what you're doing then is really focusing in on what 80% of the people all want. And I have found this to be the case. So that's one way of doing it. You can kind of model in that way that you don't bring up anything that's going to upset people in a triggering manner. But beyond that, there's something else. You know, most people are so accustomed, especially the past several years, of being negative, being involved with antipathy, being divided. Imagine sitting at the table or sitting before you even eat and say, you know what? I had a couple of ideas today. I wanted to go around and challenge everybody to come up with one piece of good news. What's one great? Now, Diane already announced one. That's like some of the best news. And
Right.
Everybody loves news about a new child. Somebody just got engaged. Somebody's celebrating an anniversary. And you start getting people to think along positive lines that uplifts the spirit. The other thing that I think most people have forgotten about when they get together, because oftentimes we're sitting, talking about things we've heard on social media, and it just gets everybody into the wrong zone. What about something old-fashioned like parlor games? I don't even know if people know what parlor games are, but they're games you can
Maura,
play
are you going to
when
tell
you're
us
together.
Maura, are you going to tell us about the time you played strip poker at your
No,
Thanksgiving
I
table?
don't even know how to do that. But I don't know how to do that. But parlor games, we've done that with our family. People of every age can play these things. People get involved physically. They're trying to figure something out. They're working together. They're laughing at themselves and each other.
Right.
People love it. And you know what it does? It lifts everybody's spirits. Now you have set beside differences, or side differences rather, and you've brought people into an experience they can all remember, enjoy, and carry with them for wherever they're going next. The memories are beautiful. And in fact, I was only thinking about this recently because we get together periodically with our neighbors. And I said to my husband the last time, I said, we've done enough talking. I said, next time I come over, I'm arming myself with a surprise game we could all play. And when I happened to bring this up to a friend, they said, have you ever heard of this one? It's like, you're a redneck if. Remember the guy who does that, Jeff Foxworthy? Well, someone told me that he has a game out where they have all of these supposed redneck expressions. And so you pull a redneck expression out of a box, and whether people are old or young or well-educated or not, they end up putting together some of the funniest things. And so to create an environment where people can just have fun and almost feel like kids again, it's instead of fighting against what a lot of people anticipate is like, oh, the neighbors are coming, the family's coming, we're going to have problems and conflicts. You instead think in advance about ways to unite people. So that's my contribution.
I love this. Yes, games are fun. They are truly delightful. We used to play charades. Many years ago, we used to play charades. And it was fun. Okay, wonderful, Lori.
Barry, I got so distracted when Diane was speaking. I practically cried myself. What was the question?
I was just going to say to you, would you please tell me the question? I forgot. It's about harmonizing the table. How can you create that atmosphere so that it's really a table about Thanksgiving?
So we do what Diane does, but I've never had an announcement like that, but I'm looking forward to it. We hold hands and we all go around, and someone always says some really nice blessing. But I think what you guys were all talking about, it's almost setting the temperature. So when you're the hostess, you set the temperature. So when you speak about things that might be negative, people assume, oh, it's okay to talk about negative. And so you want to make sure that what you're talking about and what you're bringing up is positive. And I coach so many girls, and just in the beginning of our conversation, because I have rules about staying positive, especially with some of the negative ones, it's so easy to take one wrong step and then feel yourself start to slide down this rabbit hole of, some negativities. But recognizing that, oh, shoot, I've gone down that way, I've got to stop it and turn around and come back is doable, but you got to just recognize it. But yeah, the holidays are the best. I think lots of good memories. That's all I have, Barry. I don't have a lot. Okay. I'm still stuck on Diane. I was like, I forgot everything. I've never had tears when I've done this with you guys, and I had tears. So I'm very happy for you, Diane.
That's so too. Thanks.
This has been so fabulous. Just to take off from what you just mentioned, Lori, everybody knows the word paranoia, right? If you have a room, you have 10 people, everybody know what paranoia is, so they all say yes, they have a definition. Now you ask the same 10 people, how many people here know what pronoia is? The psychologists excluded. How many people know what pronoia is? And you add 10 people, you can ask a room of 100 people, you can ask them 1,000 people, maybe you'll get 2 hands go up. So paranoia is, somebody's out to get you. There's something negative, as you said, right? It has that negative. Pronoia is a word. You can look it up in the dictionary. Thank God I was given it to learn 3.5 decades ago by a wonderful person. Pronoia is the ability to believe that everything good is happening for you. The world is conspiring to help you.
Mhm.
Right, Lori? That's what you teach your girls, as you say.
Yeah.
It's the ability to see things with the same exact eyes. So you're at a Thanksgiving table and there's a new baby. Or you're playing charades, or you're talking to your friends, say, I just got to tell you what a difference you make in my world. The person melts before your very eyes. So think pronoia, and God willing, at this time next month will be the end of December, will be the last one for this calendar year. People will be joining us again. We have, as I said, thank God, thousands of people now watching, listening, because they love you. You kids are amazing. You hear that, kids? Diane,
I'll take
Laura,
it.
Lori, it's wonderful. It's a group. And we want to give everybody a blessing for the holiday. And then we'll do a group hug. And I'll tell you what, remember, HUG stands for Heartfelt Unlimited Giving. Heartfelt Unlimited Giving. Our blessing to everybody is go forth, live exuberantly, spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. And now for our group hug. Are we ready, everybody? 1, 2, 3. Make it a great one. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.